But this is why we tell people up front. It's like this is not, it's not a toy, it's not an entertainment, and it's not a kind of wishy-washy new age, it might work type thing. You know, it's an actual technology that you have to use responsibly. But what I would suggest is you play it for 45 minutes, first time you're working with it, if you're going to do audio, and put it at, it should never, the volume should never be past comfort level. Like your ears should never be uncomfortable. And if you even get the slightest discomfort, it's too loud. So use the same precaution that you would when you're playing normal music. You know, keep it within a comfortable volume level. But you'll know that it's going to work, or that it's likely going to have an effect, if you can feel the sensation in your tissue. So if you're using a home audio system, and you can hear the signal, you can hear the sound, but you can also feel it pulsing, because you should. You'll feel it in your body, then it's likely going to have its effect. So.
Sorry, I had a question.
That's right.
Just have one of my ideas, because you say the sound related to, like, for example, concentration and everything else. For example, people has like Alzheimer, Parkinson's disease, which has a lot of issues with concentration, memories, things like that. So these sounds will also, it's one of the items that these people will be able to use to help them as a treatment to remain concentration, keep their focus and stuff like that.
One of the things that happens is it okay if I give a little bit of a lengthier answer on that? A little while ago, I was contacted by a neurosurgeon. I think she was at Miami, and she had a patient, if I remember correctly, that had been smoking, actually been smoking quite a bit of some kind of crack and crack-related drug, and apparently had lesions and abrasions in her brain. And I have no idea how this doctor heard about me. I just, it was out of the blue. She sent me an email and I believe joined her group. And she just asked me straight up. She just said, "Look, I don't know what to do with this person, and they're in a bad way. And we've got some frequency tracks that, apparently have a pretty profound regenerative effect in some cases for some people. And I'm guessing that what she was thinking and what she probably heard was that I might be in a situation where I could design something that might offer some degree of remediation." And so my answer to her was, I don't know, because I'm not a neurosurgeon. I can tell you that we're seeing a certain degree of phenomena. We're seeing it consistently, maybe. And I said that we've had other kinds of situations and conditions that appear to have been ameliorated, but I really can't advise you because this is not my discipline, this isn't my area. Having said that, we have had a number of situations and cases where people have come to us, this is consistently over time, with a variety of different conditions, including things such as conditions related to and similar to Alzheimer's and also Asperger's. We've had people in the Netherlands, for instance, that have it's an elderly couple, and they have an autistic adult child. They love the person very dearly, and the person is not terribly functional and is prone to fits and this kind of thing. And it's not exactly easy to communicate with them. So apparently, they began to use our frequency tracks with their son, and we had a long list of very strange experiences. And apparently, at first he didn't like them very much. He would put his ears to his hands and he would tell him, shut it off, I don't want to listen to it. He would just, because if you're autistic, you speak sometimes in broken phrases. And so they didn't know what to do. And this actually brings up something else. We were talking before about how you might encounter resistance from other people if you start to improve. But there's a flip side to the coin. And it's one that's, it's kind of significant. If you start playing tracks and it's causing a change with you or inside of you, you can absolutely expect to encounter turbulence from your shadow side. And it's a tricky beast. And if it senses that it's losing its hold on you, and likely it will be like a spider in a toilet bowl that can't get out, and it's starting to panic. because it starts to feel the good side of you, it's powering up, and its grip on you is being lessened, and it isn't going to like that very much. So you can absolutely count on having the occasional strange anomaly or phenomena occurring that just somehow seems to manage to interrupt, like put the frequencies on, and just as you begin to peak, your doorbell rings, or your phone rings, or there's something weird that happens. And so one of the things that can occur is sometimes you'll play a frequency track, and you might notice within the first 3 minutes that you start feeling agitated. And you think, I don't like how this sounds. And it's not making me feel very good. Like, this is a stupid sound. I want to turn it off. In half the times that happens, if you persist and you let it play for like another 7 minutes, that's gone. And now, not only do you somehow like the sound, but it's having this marvelous effect on you, and you can't even understand or imagine why you didn't like it in the first place.
Can I segue into that?
Yeah.
One thing I've noticed with the sound delivery devices is that you still get that effect of not liking how you're feeling, but because it's silent, you tend to forget mentally that it's on.
Sure, yeah.
Right? So you still have it on, so you don't actually have to persist, it just kind of goes through the motions, and you feel kind of strange, like, oh, what's going on?
Like jumpy or...
Yeah, you feel jumpy, or you feel like this just negative energy going through your body, and then all of a sudden, it just dissipates.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, that feels good. Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes total sense.
Yeah, so.
That makes total sense.
That's a good point that you've just made there.
Thank you.
Because someone like me would just stop using it probably, or call you.
Now, one thing I just want to add to that is that I said half the time.
Yeah.
So that means that if you're feeling agitated, if it is a positive thing and there's this internal resistance, and there's gunk that's being stirred up, because understand, like, if you go through any kind of like intense healing modality, like there's a thing called a Herxheimer reaction. You know, if you've got all kinds of bacteria in your body and you come up with a way, like say like a herbal detox or something, and do a mass kill off of a bacterial culture that's in your body, you'll feel like you've got the flu for days. But it's not a bad thing. But what's happening is your body has been stirred up, you've got all this crap, and it's got to flush out. But the other half the time, if you're playing a track and you've persisted to say 10 minutes, and it still doesn't feel like it's clicking with you, then this means that it's not a resistance that's inside, but it means that your body and your mind probably don't require that track. And what you can do is you can actually try it a week or two down the road. And the weird thing is, what you'll notice is with a track you didn't care for a week or two before, suddenly for some reason it appeals to you.
That's very true.
You're not talking about any kind of...
Oh wait, sorry, you were
That's
next. Can you hold on? I want to, she was the next hand up.
I guess I was just, yesterday when you had talked about the Rife machines.
Yeah.
And I said, I guess I came here with an idea that there would be something along that line. My sister recently came through some, the traditional slash and burn methods of dealing with cancer.
Yeah.
And so I've been looking into the Rife and Beck and Clarke machines and so on, and so I was just kind of curious, you know, if a person had cancer, how...
Would it work?
Yeah.
Well, what I should say is that Rife was a foundation for me. So I work with it, and I extended, I guess, an add-on, you know, to it, and that's what what I do. But I've got a pretty good background, you know, with Rife frequency technology. And what I can tell you is that the original cancer frequencies have not been released to the public domain. There are Rife cancer frequencies around, but they are ones that were experimental and were put into this thing called the CAFL. It's an annotated list that was done by experimenters. Now, there's probably thousands of people across the planet that have contributed to this list, and they've tested these frequencies over and over again. In the CAFL list, there's probably, if I were to guess, I would say that there's probably maybe about 15 to 20% ballpark, it's a guess, of Rife's original frequencies posted in there. But you've also got a lot of really intelligent people that are experimenting with different frequency tracks in different conditions over decades. and these have been contributed to the CFL. So if it's in that list, then it means that somebody someplace actually tested it out and found that it was beneficial. Is it okay if I ask what kind of cancer it is?
Breast cancer.
Okay. Well, first of all, I have to give a disclaimer because I'm not a medical professional. You know the drill.
Yeah.
So this is just my personal opinion that I'm sharing back with you, and it's not meant to be.
Right.
Yeah. So, and does she have it now?
They had told her that the treatments didn't work.
Okay. All right. Well, and have you become familiar with any additional alternative therapies for cancer?
I've looked into laetrile.
Okay.
The problem is that she's just recently, after coming through all these treatments,
Yeah.
begun to be more open to some alternatives because they've pretty much done everything they can do.
Okay.
And that is. So, I just want to save her.
Yeah. Well, look, here's what I can tell you. I'm absolutely 100% confident that Simonelli is correct, the Italian doctor and scientist. His stance is that cancer is a fungus, primarily. Rife felt that there was a virus as a causative factor. That does not preclude Rife from being correct, because there could be a symbiotic relationship between some kind of virus and fungus. But Simonelli, to my understanding, is probably among some, like, he's pretty much the most successful channel today, and has been for the last few years in treating cancer. And it's simple. His protocol is it's something that can be replicated easily locally, low cost. You'd likely have to get a nurse. You have to have a nurse assist you, because you need an IV, like, to actually be there to administer it. But look up Dr. Simonelli. And there's also a natural, you've probably heard of the molasses and baking soda treatment. Yeah, so that's a good one. If you're going to get a Rife generator for that process, you want to get a high-end plasma tube variation. And it's going to probably, a good one is going to cost you probably about $4,000 to $5,000. And you're going to have to put in at least a good month or so, like, learning how to use it properly before you use it. And I would also suggest that if you do make that investment, don't count on that one tool or channel being the only resource that you can use to get rid of it. You should be using it as a primary complementary thing to a host of modalities. So have a converging approach. Use many things at once. Yeah.
Just a comment on when you said you don't feel so good, and then all of a sudden you feel great.
Yeah.
Would that be like associated with some sort of demonic association leaving your body?
You guys are asking me good questions, eh? Well, okay. It's funny. I get asked questions both in our group and outside of our group that okay. I've had people approach me, and they've asked me if my frequencies call UFOs. I've actually, like, and I'm not saying this is in the same category, but I'm just saying, like, for context. I've been in situations where, and I know who this lady is. She's not crazy. She's not on drugs. She's an elderly lady, and she's a nice person. I've known her for a while, but I had no idea how to respond to her, and I wasn't even sure that I wanted to. But she wrote in, and she said, "Listen, I was playing your frequencies, and I heard a rumbling sound go over the roof. And I looked out the window, and I saw something coming down from the sky. And she said, and I knew that we had visitors." And she was panicked. And she said she heard footsteps going up to the door. And they were knocking on the door, and they wanted to come in. And I think I remember her saying something like, they said that they were coming in peace, and they just wanted to hang out and talk. And so I think she's hiding under a table, and she's going, "No, no, 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 no." And so apparently, eventually, whatever this thing was, it left. And she was completely freaked out of her brain. And she's like, "What do I do?" And I'm like, what do I say to that, right? And certainly, what do I say to that publicly? Like, what, again? So you know what? If somebody asks me a question about, we have paranormal activity that occurs. We actually we have professional paranormal investigators that are certified and working it as a profession in the States especially, and they actually are called to do things like exorcisms. And we actually do have a frequency collection that has been designed for their field use, and they use it. And sometimes the reports that come back are, I mean, they're freakish. Like, they're completely over the top crazy. I guess if you were to ask me what would my opinion be that I would give publicly, I would say that that I would respond in a scientific manner and say that whether there's an existence of entities or demons or not, what we could say certainly is that there are distortion fields that can occur in human relating that may at times have characteristics of some kind of intelligence, and that they seem to have certain kinds of qualities or properties, and that to date we appear to be able to affect those qualitatively. We have to date. But, you know, can I say that I know for sure that my frequency technology is evicting demons? I can't say that. What I can say is that the frequency technology appears to be making the phenomena leave, and in every case I've seen today, permanently. And does this seem to create a profound change in the individual affected? Yes. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
I think it's done, because we're out of time, I guess.
Okay.
So, yeah, so does everybody have my card? All of my information? Okay. If you don't mind meeting me at the booth, I will give you my information, so you can give me a call, and then we can set up times to actually go through your treatments. And it's going to be with the wand and frequencies as well. All right. Thank you so much for coming.